So hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you all back at the SDG Media Zone for another session today on our unfortunately last day already here at COP22. As yesterday actually the Marrakesh Action Plan was adopted, I'd like to just mention that, you know, for the last 2 weeks a lot of people have been here not only talking about but actively negotiating, discussing, finding solutions of what needs to be done in order to make a difference and to implement all the things that have been previously discussed. What has been adopted yesterday as well is for governments to not only recognize that it's their role to play, but it's everyone's role to play. From industries to non-profits to any sector out there, to the people and the entrepreneurs like you guys watching, us sitting here, and our wonderful speaker that we're going to present in just a second. With that being said, for all of us, it's now the time going back home and really figuring out, okay, after these, so for some people 2 weeks, for others a week, here in Marrakesh, what do we do next? And for that, we have one of our last sessions today called Green Solutions to really just discuss, now that we have learned all these things that need to be changed, what can we as individuals and entrepreneurs do to make a difference? So for that reason, we have Marla here from Green Go Web that has an amazing initiative that she would like to share with us as an example of what a green solution could be like and what we all can learn from and hopefully implement and support in the future. So Marla, I would like to introduce yourself and also talk a little bit about your project as well.
Thank you, Eliane. Thanks, everyone. So I'm Marla Burgener, founder of Green Go Web. I'm a social entrepreneur from Switzerland. What does it mean to be a social entrepreneur? It means having these big ideas on how to make a difference, contribute to a cleaner, better future, hopefully. It also means a long way to achieve and see results in terms of, you know, helping people transition to a low-carbon economy. So what we do at Green Go Web is we engage people in fun and efficient way using game-like mobile apps. But behind the fun, you have metrics and data. We believe that people with data can actually help transition to a low-carbon economy. And so the people take action in a very simple way. They see the collective impact of their small actions. And then the organization, in turn, can use these stats to strengthen their CSR reporting and comply with 2 of the SDGs. So basically we have people taking action on an individual level, then we have the collective impact, then we have the organization level with the CSR reporting, and then we have the bigger view, which is the UN, complying with these goals.
Excellent. And I think maybe we're going to get also to talking about a little bit more what that would look like in an applied way, or the app you have developed in terms of the site. But maybe to connect it back to our experience here. And just a couple of days ago, as you have probably also had the same feeling being here at COP, a lot of juices flow around, ideas, you meet the most inspiring people. And we as a group, over dinner, we're just thinking, okay, well, what would be a great way to showcase a big climate changing, what can we do applied at home example? And we were talking about just the fact of brushing your tooth. So when you brush your tooth, you turn on the sink, you put the toothbrush under the water, you keep the water running, apply the toothpaste, and you start brushing. And most people just leave the water running, thinking, okay, well, it's just me doing it. It's not going to change anything if I, in between, would turn off the water. But in fact, if I and everybody else around me would do such a thing, it would make a huge difference. And I believe that's a little bit what you got to show through your application as well.
Yes, this is exactly what we do, is that we show people, I mean, if I take a shower instead of a bath, it's not going to change the face of the planet. And I'm thinking, So what? It doesn't matter. But if I show you that this shower times your friends, times your team, times your building, it can be anything, any organization. This shower actually means an Olympic pool because you're 500 people doing it. Then it's beyond raising awareness. You actually change. I mean, you actually see it, you visualize it, and then there's no going back. So we do this for small actions like a shower, brushing your tooth, but we also do it for mobility. What if you ride your bike today? What if you take the bus once in a while? What if you avoid printing one email today? Things like this, and we should accumulated impact, meaning that your email that you just avoid printing means a 3 when your entire department is doing it. So people are not left alone with their actions. The project started, the concept, because we all feel, at one point we all felt like kind of overwhelmed by mixed messages about climate change. It's hard to visualize it, it's hard to understand. We're getting mixed messages, the planet is gonna explode, and you're thinking, so what does it matter? I mean, actually, why? It's like a drop in the ocean, but every contribution is valued, and we can all act, for a bigger impact. I mean, we have to think about the greater good and collective impact.
No, and it's a great point you're mentioning, and that's something that has been mentioning over and over on this stage here in this past week, where we, for example, had conversations between politicians and young leaders that are really trying to make a difference, asking them, but what can we do? You are the politicians, you're sitting in the rooms next to us here, negotiating on treaties, national, international treaties, and it's so disconnected from us, and we don't necessarily know what we can do as little people. And they, at the same time, the politicians would emphasize, well, there's so much that you can do. But I think it's, to your point, it's the mixed messaging, the not necessarily feeling empowered to making a difference. Yet at the same time, as your application shows, there are very small steps that each of us can take every single day, which maybe not if I do it, but if we all do it together, it really will make a difference.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's why we use the gamification, meaning we made it look like a game so that people actually join. Because this is the difficult part, is what can I do at my little level, and what, as you say, when we listen to these politicians, we feel it's out of our reach.
Yeah, so I think, I want to congratulate you, first of all, on your great idea and implementing your idea and creating this great platform to, by gaming, really empower people to make a difference.
Exactly.
And I know that there's a lot of people, not only in this room, watching right now, thinking, okay, now it's been a full week of me getting excited. I want to do something. I want to contribute to all these great solutions that can be brought to really make a difference on climate change. But a lot of people often struggle with, okay, I want to do something, I have a great idea, but now how do I go from my idea to setting up a platform, to developing my enterprise so that I can be not just a drop, but I can also create my own ocean of difference. And I think just because you have done it, you have gone from your idea into implementing a project that is now successfully really making a difference. I'd love to get a little bit of your feedback on how did you go from having an idea of now having an organization that really changes and contributes to what we're all trying to do here?
So first of all, it's a long way. And it's a long way, and it doesn't happen overnight. It requires a lot of work and commitment. And not the type of commitment I was expecting. I didn't know what I was putting myself into, seriously. But the result is wonderful, and it's an experience that transforms you. So from the idea to actually the tangible product or result, a good way to start is to identify a pain, a need but then validate it with your potential first client or user. And this is the user-centric approach is for me is key, because then you really develop something that people are going to be using and they need it and they feel happy to do so. So for me, that's really the first step, is being able to work closely with the people who are going to be using your product, whatever it is. And then the resources come. It's easier to find resources once you have it right. And of course, we know that now with all the, we have different platforms. You know, we have startup weekends, we have We Make It, we have a lot of resources available. So then it's a matter of attracting the right people to help you build and create. But the first step is knowing that your users will use it, because this is key.
And I think based on what we've all been hearing for the last couple of days, there's a lot of needs that have been identified that need solutions, which I'm sure there's a lot of great and bright minds out there that have the solutions. So I think we really want to encourage all of you to not just think like, oh, this could be a great idea to fix it, but to really go ahead and see if your idea can really make a difference and contribute to solving all these problems that have been addressed here in the last couple of days. Maybe if I may ask you one of the, because as I said before, like I think for a lot of people it's really challenging to go from the step of this is my idea and now I'm gonna go ahead and do it and commit fully to it. A lot of people might be hesitant. So maybe from you, just a very honest answer of what was one of those like great failures that you came across, so that, you know, people are not discouraged to try and go for their dreams, but also realize that there are backfalls and backdraws, and that everybody goes through them as well. If you could share maybe the next example with us.
No, of course. I think the biggest mistake was underestimating the time it was going to take. And for this reason, not planning accordingly. It's one thing to have a great project and give it all and make it happen. It's another thing to be the entrepreneur and having to sustain yourself. So one of the biggest mistake was not realizing that I was going to have to support myself for the time it was going to take. And you cannot, it's very nice to help the planet, help people help the planet for a sustainable future, but if yourself as the social entrepreneur is not sustainable, this is a difficult one. So, you know,
I can see that happening. And then maybe one more question, just because I feel like it would fit. That would be my follow-up question as an audience member. So, what was like the biggest or the greatest advice you received along your process of finding your green solution?
Well, the best advice to some extent is not to invest all your resources at first. So even if you are to find this great investor, and I wish you can find a great investor, the first step is really to have your concepts right on, even if it's on paper, like we call it MVP, minimum viable product. And this should not cost you more than let's say 5,000 euros. It can be 10, I agree, but the concept, getting the concept right, should not cost you a lot of money, and from there you can move forward. So I think the approach, you know, the lean startup approach, as we call it, getting an MVP, getting validation from users, and then move on.
Excellent. I think I hope that was a help to a lot of you watching, and an encouragement to go ahead and really go and realize these amazing ideas that you have in your head, because I think there's nothing worse than seeing a very successful project and saying, hey, that was my idea. So go for it. I think everybody should at least try. With that being said, I do see a lot of curious faces around us and want to just check if anybody has a question now, or if you want to actually tweet later, and we can always answer them. I see somebody making signs. No? All right, I guess anyways, you can always tweet at #SDGLive, ask your question if you do have a follow-up question to this conversation or any other conversations we have had on this stage. I want to thank you, Marla, so much for, you know, going ahead and realizing the ideas that you had to now be this other drip in the ocean, to really contribute and figure out with all of us on how to assist what has been negotiated and really make this a reality for all of us and for the future of this planet. So I want to thank you very much.
I want to thank you all, and it's a pleasure to be here, and especially that the COP22 really gave us this feeling of something's going to happen. We're actually now acting, and this is what Gringo Web is about, you know, make change happen, and we have to engage people, and I'm happy about these 2 weeks here in Marrakesh. Thank you.
Thank you.